Morning, everybody. Michelle is back again. I think it was March 17th, 2026 on a Tuesday. Tuesday is when everybody starts to work. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to work on Monday. Monday, I think we get a lot of people calling out on Monday. So then people start rushing in on Tuesday, attempting to make up for being off on Monday, and then Friday, forget it. Those are my theories and opinions, actually, and it's based on some kind of results I'm getting. People do not want to go in on Mondays. Monday. Remember that song? This is aging myself, but I don't really care. But people do not want to go into work on Monday. They don't want to necessarily do anything on Monday. And then once Monday rolls around, oh boy. That's when, people are going to either call out or something of that fashion. So I had a video earlier about service, talking about service. And I can guarantee you 100%, all of us are experiencing some level of service that we're not happy with. And that just has to do with the bottleneck, and it has to do with our climate. Has to do with the population of people wanting services, wanting it now. I want it now. Put me priority. I'm priority. And so it's creating a lot of tension with service, whereas people do not want to go into work because it's not fair that they're getting abused by customers, and it's not fair that customers get abused by what? By the service, by the business, and blah blah blah. So you're running into all kind of factors, and it's making it difficult for any of us to kind of move forward, move backwards, just move in general, because there is a bottleneck. Everybody, like I said, wants it done now. They don't want to wait. They want to be at the top of the pyramid. They want to be at the top of the structure, whereas they don't want to wait. They don't want to wait in line. That's why people always climbing up your ass when you're standing in line, because some people just so in a hurry to get nowhere, and so they stand so close to you, almost like I said, in your ass. They might as well be a part of your ass since they're so all up in it. And it just creates a lot of tension. I don't like for people to be so close to me. Unless we're intimate, I don't like anyone touching me, per se, or just being close to me in general. And so I do everything in my power to respect that. Of course, I'm going to violate that sometimes because, like I said, we are massively overpopulated. So I'm going to mistakenly touch someone. I'm going to mistakenly do some things that's going to make someone extremely uncomfortable. And that's not my intention. Oh, God. And we got these pedestrians, just, God, so clueless sometimes. So, what I want to do when it comes to service is be realistic. I do everything in my power to, to support people and know that people have to make a living and this and that and the other. But a lot of people are just so complacent. They can care less about other people. It's all about me. It's them. And they can care less whether you get a paycheck or not. And so they'll come into an establishment with the whole intention to create chaos just so they can film it. Now, we know that's happening. So let's not pretend that we don't know that happens, and that people are intentionally attempting to get people fired. Let's not be delusional. But again, when it comes to me, I do everything in my power. I really do, and that's a priority. That's a value for me. That's a part of my integrity, is to provide the best service I can. I put out a lot of videos on how I was able to manage difficult personalities over the phone when they were upset because of they didn't have anything to do with me. They were just upset with life in general. Life can be unfair for some. Some people are really, really, really struggling, and they're doing the best they can to, put food on the table for their family and do all the necessary factors to make a living, and it's impossible. These wages, there's no way, these are not living wages, and we all know that. A lot of people are, not only living paycheck to paycheck, they're living, some have reduced their meal time down to just one meal a day. And then you have these bobblehead citizens, some of them lost and all they're thinking about is themselves. I want to go to Disney again for the 100th time. Go ahead and go. I want to go to Universal Studios, wherever these major indoctrination theme parks are. People want to religiously go to those places. But my point is with service is, yes, we're all having difficulties, just making a living, just, as they say, surviving, and attempting to just make the best of our circumstances. And I know it's difficult. Some people really, really do care about service, and so they want to they do the best they can to provide the best service they can. But in some cases they can't. And okay, what the hell's going on here? Oh, I didn't see fire and rescue here. A lot of people have no idea what to do when it comes to fire and rescue, and how to stop, and when to stop, and where to stop. Oh my goodness. Law enforcement, talk to your citizens in your area and teach them how to properly stop for you and when to stop for you. All right, but anyway, I think I need to go this way. Let's check it out. So, as I said, all of us are doing the best we can to make our living and treat people. I know some people that are extremely kind and gentle, but don't go overboard with that. If you know that the product is not going to turn out the way the customer expected to, in other words, don't take on more than you can chew. Don't talk about, all of this. In other words, you as a employee, the food is crap. The food is garbage. The performance is garbage. Do not overdo it and believe, that you can just lie and say, that it's the best service and that money can buy, when you know damn well it isn't. You work there. You see what's happening. That certain places ought to be shut down, but you need a job and this and that and the other. So all I'm saying is just rethink what we mean about service and make sure that we are providing the best service that we can. As I said, with me, that's a value of mine. And if I don't sense that the where I'm working is not providing that, well, I'm gonna be creative about it. And that's how I was in law enforcement or first responder. I was very creative about the service that I provide for the community, and I made an impact. And I got more complaints, believe it or not, from the first responders. And the citizens loved me. And they appreciated my work. They appreciated my integrity, as I said, because that's important. And they just supported my efforts. And the citizens that I was in their face, because sometimes you got to get into the face of certain people, and most of them were men. They apologized to me before I retired. So I know my efforts were worth it. I'm so thankful that I had the courage, and I was brave too. I had to be courageous and brave to do what I was doing. I was sometimes I was in the middle of the night all by myself, taking on people. And I knew my so-called backup would take forever to get there. They'll deny it, of course. And so I wasn't afraid so much of the citizens, to be honest with you. I'm just going to make that very clear. I didn't feel no threat per se from the citizens, even though they were in my face. I was not afraid of them. I did not, feel a need to, necessarily call for a lot of backup. I was able to de-escalate it all by myself. And that's what it has to happen with de-escalation. It has to start with the individual. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this video right now, because I'm almost to my destination. But I just want to send peace and love. And I want to say to everyone that's providing service out there, do the best you can. Do not lie about the service when you know the service and the food, the performance, the management and all that is crap. Okay? And do not lie to citizens about what you are capable of doing when you know damn well you can't do it. Do not get to a point, is what I'm saying, where you're so desperate that you'll say anything. Okay, that has some major consequences that you may not like. So be honest. If that job is not providing you with the necessary factors you need to pay your, in other words, if you have to lie just to keep a job, then you're not only hurting the citizens that you're supposedly serving, but you're most importantly hurting yourself. So find something that brings you joy, that you get up every morning and you look forward to showing up, okay? And that way you can provide the best service possible to people, even under the stressful situations. And I'm going to talk more about certain things when it relates to these so-called government services, and share with you some things on how to navigate through that madness as well. Peace and love, and trust me, I will be back.